Good evening, happy Friday, and welcome back to Last Call, where the ecto-cooler flows and the wisdom grows. And tonight's wisdom is going to be focusing on a topic you all know is keenly dear to my heart, physical media. What do I always say? Besides what you sipping on, own physical media. And we are having drinks tonight with an expert on this topic. Yes, Boomer, I'd say more expert than you. And of course I mean Greg of FanZcene Videos. He's got a great channel, link in the description, and he just opened up channel memberships today, so how's that for timing? So top off your glasses, subscribe to his channel, become a member if you are so inclined, you will be by the end of this stream, and settle in while you watch this brief primer. We'll get started on the other side. Here we go. Our story begins in 1979. Universal Studios and Walt Disney Company, yep, the mouse, sued Sony over the Betamax. The case was Universal City Studios versus Sony Corp of America, linked to the annotation in the description. Basically, the big studios didn't like the idea of people being able to record and keep stuff they viewed on TV that they saw as their own intellectual property under copyright law. In simplest terms, Sony made an argument based on fair use. And they won. It was somewhat short-lived victory, however, as Universal Studios appealed the decision in 1981, reversing the verdict. In 1983, the case made its way to the Supreme Court of the United States. Mr. Fred Rogers, yes, that Mr. Rogers, host of PBS's Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, had some strong opinions about the technology himself. So much so that he decided to testify on the tech's behalf, stating, "I have always felt that with the advent of all this new technology that allows people to tape the neighborhood off the air, they then become much more active in the programming of their family's television life. Very frankly, I am opposed to people being programmed by others. My whole approach in broadcasting has always been, you are an important person just the way you are. You can make healthy decisions. I just feel that anything that allows a person to be more active in the control of his or her life in a healthy way is important." The Supreme Court ultimately sided with Sony in a 5-4 ruling to reverse the Ninth Circuit. The majority opinion was penned by Justice John P. Stevens, in which he cited the influence Mr. Rogers had on the decision. Regarding the testimony of Fred Rogers, president of the corporation that produces and owns the copyright on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. The program is carried by more public television stations than any other program. Its audience numbers over 3 million families a day. He testified that he had absolutely no objection to home taping for non-commercial use, and expressed the opinion that it is a real service to the families to be able to record children's programs and to show them at appropriate times. If there are millions of owners of VTRs who make copies of televised sports events, religious broadcasts, and educational programs, such as Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and if the proprietors of those programs welcome the practice, the business of supplying the equipment that makes such copying feasible should not be stifled simply because the equipment is used by some individuals to make unauthorized reproductions of respondents' work. The respondents do not represent a class composed of all copyright holders, yet a finding of contributory infringement would inevitably frustrate the interests of broadcasters in reaching the portion of their audience that is available only through time shifting. The decision set two major precedents. The first upheld the original decision that recording a broadcast program for later viewing is fair use. The second was that the manufacturer of a device or technology that can be used for copyright infringement, but also had substantial non-infringing uses, can't be held liable for copyright violators by those who use it. An analogous legal principle applies to the manufacturers of cars and firearms, but that's a topic for another time. Hey, how's it going? Good to see y'all. I am going to break with tradition, and I am going to bring my lovely wife in first, because our topic for tonight is physical media. And we're both wearing our own physical media shirts in honor of the night. And Netter is also backdropped by our rather extensive collection of over 1,000 DVDs. You're seeing a small portion of it because you're not seeing all the way to the ceiling, and you're not seeing all the way to the floor, and you're not seeing the
bookcase that way.
The other
Actually,
way.
That way.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So, and Netter, what you sipping on tonight?
I have a Lipton Diet Green Tea Mixed Berry.
Mixed berry.
So
Okay, changing it up, getting exciting. That's a great way to celebrate. Let me bring in my my designated driver tonight, Agent Boomer. How you doing tonight, Agent Boomer? And what you sipping on?
Well, I have myself a glass of cold water along with a tea bag that says Botanicals Infusion, and it's lemonade and peach.
That sounds like a hippie drink to me.
You know something? It's no calories. I'm trying something new. We'll see if it.
Oh, okay. You're on a diet, huh?
Listen, no, I just if I can, drink a little less soda each day. You never know.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm not gonna...
though. I'm in the middle of bidding on something on eBay. Could you wait a second? It's Rambo First Blood Part 2 on Betamax. Your little story there
inspired you. You wanted to get yourself a Betamax.
So only $29.99, and buy it now, and it's mine. Oh, that's $29,999.99.
Wow!
It was a joke on Birdman the other night. It's like he's like, "You want to buy Rambo's? You want Betamax? It's $29,000." It's like,
wow,
$30,000, right?
You know what? I know what that's about. Now we'll get into that in a little bit. But first, let's bring in our very special guest. I've been really looking forward to getting him on the channel. It's just scheduling, my scheduling really, because I've had so many guests lined up. So I'm glad he was able to be patient. Greg from FanZcene, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you.
Doing good. How you guys doing tonight?
Congratulations on the memberships.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I just opened it up today, and I want to give a big shout out to Iron Raiden, who is my first member. So
wow, there you go. There you go.
So yeah, it's
definitely a great channel. We're going to get into that in a little bit, but I got to ask you the standard stock first question: what you sipping on?
Water.
Okay, that's fair.
I don't really drink a whole lot other than water.
That's okay. You don't have to drink alcohol on my show, but you really should drink something.
Yeah,
because if you're going to hang out with us to the end, your mouth's going to be pretty dry by the end.
Well, I actually cut out a lot of stuff and lost a lot of weight, and I just drink strictly water now. So, well, I do have a beer on occasion. So,
and just in case anyone's curious about what I'm sipping on, I got a commercial for that.
This summer, coming to a supermarket near you. There's going to be a great new high-C flavor with an outrageous fruit taste. And what are we going to call it? Ecto Cooler. High-C Ecto Cooler. Slimer's new fruit drink. You've been warned.
Yep, seriously.
Where
it is green.
Where'd you get it from?
So, you could do a little bit of a search. There's a lot of recipes for it online, but there's a group of Ghostbusters out of, I want to say Minneapolis, but don't hold me to that. I might be wrong. They did a lot of research on Ecto Cooler and the company and the history and trying to find out what the formula was, and they were able to track down somebody that worked at the company that knew basically what the formula was. And I forget the name of the orange drink, sweetie. Would you be able to take a look? No, it's in the fridge here.
Citrus
Cool. I had another one.
It's a citrus drink, yes. I can't remember the name of it. It's what is it?
Tampico.
Tampico. That's what it is. Tampico.
Tampico zero sugar citrus.
Well,
punch.
that one I because I wanted to try the zero sugar,
I'm trying to get the glare off of it.
But Tampico 4 parts Tampico to 1 part Minute Maid lemonade, and then a little bit of green food coloring. Although mine happens to have a little shot of blue curacao in it, which actually makes it taste a little bit tropical. But the straight mixture actually is spot on. It is a
Looks
perfect.
a little greener than the official product.
Yeah, I may have gone a little bit overboard with the dye. I could almost taste it, but it was an accident. I was going and I was, you go to put in a few drops, and all of a sudden it's a squirt instead of just a few drops. Oh, oops! So,
Now, without the blue stuff, I thought it tasted like lime jello. With the blue stuff, I think it tastes like pineapple.
I remember Ecto Cooler though, and it was pretty spot on.
I missed that drink.
Yeah. But you know what I'll do is after the show, I'll drop the recipe into the description below, and then you got it. But anyway, yeah. So what I should probably also do is say hi to all the people in the chat. There's a long line of chat. Now, there was one that I saw yesterday. One of my Klingon friends from overseas, Kazumi, was in here. I don't know if she's going to catch this on a rewatch or whatever. Hi, Kazumi. Thanks for stopping by and saying hi. But it looks like the first person, besides Netter, who's on the panel, who stopped in today was Matanui. Good man, Matanui. Glad to see you here. And, of course, Deleted Scene, Stephen Otten is in here dropping all the links because he's an awesome blue wrench. You are just wonderful. Of course, the regular panelists are, in the description below. So if that's what you're doing, just grab it from there. Let's see. Evelyn Hampton, good evening. How you doing? Oh, Evelyn, look. It is green. Star Trek reference.
I got that reference.
And David Pensack, fire up the afterburners. It's Friday night. Absolutely. I like that. Speaking of afterburners, we're going to have on Geeky Geezers on Sunday, we're going to be talking about a business deal gone wrong and a Batmobile.
Okay.
Exciting stuff.
Nice.
And
And
of course,
JPM.
Yep. And Daniel Heron's soundtracks with Birdman. You're buying the Betamax. Yeah. We'll talk a little bit about why that Betamax might be as expensive as it is.
Pretty expensive.
Birdman used to collect the laser discs actually back in the day.
Joshua V, how are you doing, my friend? And I think that catches us up for right now. So there we go. And I'll try to keep an eye on the chat so I can say hi as you come in. But I'm sorry. Hey JP, how you doing? Good to see you. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to overlook you.
I didn't. I said hello.
The Batman. Yeah, Deleted Scenes knows what I'm talking about. That Batmobile story could be a series in and of itself. I am going to actually do my homework this week, and I'm going to try to put together a truncated summary of all the articles to kind of compress it all together. But it really touches on a lot of what I'm seeing in the news these days with all of the corruption and the abuse of power by politicians, and really feel like we could use a Batman in this circumstance. But
Superman for me, but
I dig it. I'm with you. I'm all about that.
So Superman, Christopher Reeve.
I'm like Green Lantern.
Can I call you Greg? Is that okay?
Yeah, you can call me Greg. I got good Green Lantern back. All of them right there.
Yep. Oh, Netter, show him your Green Lantern. Greg, I don't know whereabouts in the country you live, but have you ever made it to Metropolis, Illinois for the Superman celebration?
No, I have not. That is one place where I've been wanting to go to, and I'm actually not too far from there. So.
Okay. Yeah, I'm guessing by the accent you might be on the other side of it from me. I'm up Chicago way.
Yeah,
So
I'm Ohio.
This one and this one.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Nice. Hal Jordan and John Stewart.
Yep.
I can't.
Both
hear you,
Migos.
So no, I'm going to have to again.
Yep.
So,
but that's green too. But
my greens.
yeah, I regular followers of the channel know I've talked about the Superman celebration a bunch. I've gone doing the doing the Lex Luthor thing, and
I went to the last time I went to it was in Cleveland, Ohio. It was the building that the Daily Planet is based off of that they drew.
Yes.
They lived across the street. They had a convention. I got to meet Supergirl. Oh my God, I can't think of her name. The original Supergirl.
Helen Slater.
Yeah, I got to meet Helen Slater, Aaron Gray, Darth Maul, Michael Rosenbaum, who played Lex Luthor on Smallville, Sam Witwer, who also does the voice of Darth Maul, and who played Doomsday on Smallville.
Yep.
So I got to meet all them guys.
Yeah, I met Sam here in Metropolis for he was here because of the Doomsday thing. He was a great guy.
Yeah, he's nice.
His girlfriend was there. Yeah, I mean, you meet the celebs, and you might have,
Yeah, it depends. Michael Rosenbaum was awesome. So
yeah. So, you're from a little south of the southern border of Illinois. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what the weather's like. You know it gets hot in the summertime. So
oh God, yeah.
That's what you gotta keep in mind when you go to Metropolis. Honestly, there was one year we came down. It was like 50 degrees when we left Chicago, and when we got there, it was like, oh my God, it's so hot. We literally went straight to the motel and changed because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna melt.
It was like 103 in the shade.
Yeah, I was like, my gosh, almost a 50-degree difference as we drove for like 6-7 hours. DJ Odyssey, thanks for stopping by. Good to see you.
If you do ever go to the Superman Fest in Metropolis, do not stay in Metropolis.
Yeah.
Stay in Paducah.
Stay in Paducah, yeah.
I've heard that.
The Comfort Inn.
Yeah, Comfort Inn in Paducah. They have great rates, clean place, and it's less than 10-minute drive. You just cross the river and you're there.
And it's a family-owned place. Sorry?
Do they have kind of breakfast in the morning?
Yes, they do. Yes, they actually a better one than the bigger motel in Metropolis. It's crazy. But anyway, so Greg, tell me a little bit about your channel. How did you get into the YouTube thing, and what is your primary goal with your channel?
Well, I sort of got into YouTube when I first started. It was just like I made music videos. I was young, really young. I just made took clips from Superman and stuff and made music videos. And then I stopped doing that because that's that was like YouTube early days. Yeah. And then a little movie called The Last Jedi happened, right?
Yeah. It's a thing that happened.
Yes. And this is I give this movie credit for where I am today, to be honest with you, on my channel, because I came out of there and I was like, I liked it or didn't like it. What did I watch?
Yeah, exactly.
And I went online and I found a bunch of channels, and they kind of inspired me to go on to do my channel. Put me on there. And as I spoke earlier, I had just lost a bunch of weight, like 90 pounds.
Good.
And I was feeling a little more confident in myself than I had in the past because I've always been a nerd. I'm a nerd. I'm proud of it. And so I got on there and I started just making videos, and I sort of tried to do the whole finding stories and, trying to do the this one and do, but that really wasn't me. And then I started, talking about my collection, my movies, and wanting to support physical media. And so my channel has become about basically supporting physical media, retro entertainment, the 80s, the 90s, 80s horror. I'm really into 80s horror and stuff like that. And, I got to meet a lot of cool people along the way. I got to help, with the documentary, the 80s horror documentaries, In Search of Darkness, and the 80s sci-fi documentary, In Search of Sci-Fi, or In Search of Tomorrow, I'm sorry. And, I just kind of went from there, and I just trying to talk about cool stuff like that in physical media and own physical media, like you say.
Yeah. It became a thing kind of early on in my partnership with Aged Boomer, where we would be talking about, because our thing is he does on Sundays, he does the Geeky Geezers, and which is like a summation of the week's geek news.
The week's geek news.
Exactly, and he knows gaming better than I do. He's more on the front line of I'm going to say the newer physical media, the HD and the 4Ks and I don't even know.
I do a lot of that too.
Yeah, I don't know too much about that kind of stuff. I kind of got as far as DVDs, and I do have a drive that plays Blu-ray, but it's not as much of a thing for me as DVD has been. It's just I've seen so many changes in formats, and it's like that bit from Men in Black. Well, now I'm going to have to get the White Album again. It's like I can't anymore.
That's I talk about that on my channel too, because a lot of time, because I cover 4K. Blu-ray, VHS, all that. A lot of times I get comments where like, I'm not upgrading. I can't buy this stuff again. So I've made a few videos. If you guys want to check it out, it was like, one of my videos is if you don't want 4K, that's okay. So I talk about that. As long as you're buying your books in paperback or hardback, your CDs, your records, your VHS, Betamax, DVD, Laserdisc, 4K, whatever, as long as you're buying any form of physical media, that's supporting and helping it out in any way, shape, form you can.
Yeah, and this is what brought me and Boomer to it. We were talking about all this streaming stuff and whatnot, and particularly about like music and stuff. And I was like, look, you gotta own physical media, because if you're on the iTunes and the whatevers and you buy a song, you don't own that song.
No.
And they will literally reach into your device and take it back. And I've heard some terrible stories about people who had a very, very specific, maybe it was a live version of a song or something, and they go in and they take it out and they replace it with a different version, and they're like, no, I had a very specific, and they can't get it back. And it's like, well, then you need to have the physical media stored offline somewhere where they can't get at it and they can't take it away from you.
Yes.
Exactly. We were doing the talk when it came up, and they were talking about editing Lilo and Stitch to take out the washing machine or the dryer or whatever it is and replace it with a pizza box or whatever. And I get why, but at the same time, it's like, but this is how you released it. For historical sake, you at least need to preserve that. And that's not how Disney does it. They overwrite.
Disney is the biggest offender of editing and changing movies. Every bit of it. I mean,
that's why them buying up Lucasfilm was a match made in hell, because I mean that's such a Lucasfilm thing to do. I mean, really, when that whole thing was going on that we were talking about, Greg, the Stranger Things, and they said something about they were going to Lucas.
They actually have, but nobody's found it.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I'm like, and I have, you know what? I have the first 2 seasons, and I got them in those VHS.
The VHS covers.
They look like VHS. They actually take up too much room on the shelf. I'm going to have to reconsider that. There's that one, and Netter's got the complete collection of The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Oh, yeah.
It's in a briefcase.
So cool.
And it's hanging off the shelf because it doesn't really fit.
Did you know
that?
It's got the book in there, and I don't remember what else in
episode.
there. And every single episode.
Awesome.
Dark Shadows came in a coffin? Did you know that? The old Dark Shadows show.
Looks like.
There's been a lot of versions of Dark Shadows. Yeah. I got to work on that too. But I am a big, and this was something that I alluded to in the comments on one of your, I try to be real careful, because when we're talking about this particular topic, I know it can be a really sensitive issue. But when I tell people own the physical media, you know, so many times they'll say, well, it only exists as a digital, or it's never been released on, or whatever. That's fine. When I say own physical media, if you have to, make your own damn physical media. It's called fair use. If you paid for the thing, you can back it up to use it on a different device or whatever the case is, because that's how fair use works. As long as you're not making copies to sell to people and distribute, I mean, for example, this is never going to be available anywhere. The Star Wars Holiday Special.
No, it will not.
And so I made...
just killed all those copies.
Exactly. And interestingly, mine is a 3-disc set that I made for myself. It's a 3-disc set because it contains... I had done 1 year with Big Al a rewatch, so I saved the YouTube video of us doing it. There is the honest trailers on here. There is I can't read in the dark. There's a couple of different fan edits of it that one of them is really good. The Thank the Maker cut is really, really brilliant. We watched that one last year.
You have 30 Seconds by Bunnies?
I don't think so. No, because they didn't do a holiday special version. And I have the best copy that's available out there, the cleaned up WHIO from Ohio.
I've seen that one.
The exact, so I pressed it, and I've got it, and
awesome.
They can't take that away from me.
Yeah, a copy of that.
I'll take care of you, sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, afterwards, DM me, give me an address I can send it to. I'll put it together for you.
That's awesome. Thank you.
You mean I'll put it together for you because I'm his mail.
Well, I will make the copies of the disc. Then yes, Netter will mail them. Yes, and then I've talked about this on my channel too. I went through and did and collected all of the Doctor Who in these custom boxes that I made based on the old Big Finish audio, style.
That's what I need to get. I need to get the old Doctor Who's. I've only got very little of those.
And they've been releasing a lot. These are the commercial versions. These aren't copies. These are the animations that they did because they have all the audio, but they've lost a lot of the episodes. Yeah. So they've been going through, especially with the Second Doctor, and commercially releasing these. But then I have these reconstructions that I've pressed myself that have never been released, that, Loose Cannon and some of the other restoration teams have been doing. It's the only way you can see some of these episodes. So, if they decide to make a commercial release using animation or something like that, I will buy them. But until then, I have a fairly complete Doctor Who collection in physical media.
That's exactly. And like I've seen some bigger channels talk about this, about physical media and this, specifically films at home. If you cannot get that movie you want, if they've taken it away from the streaming, the digital services, if you can't get it, pirating, which I hate to say it, might be your only option in some aspects to get some of those stuff that they won't let you watch anymore.
Yep. I mean, for example, have you done a video about the story of the Donner cut of Superman?
No, I have not, but I actually have that. Yes, I have both of those.
So yeah, I mean, I just for a synopsis for my listeners, you can always do your own.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But so the fans went out, and I mean, this was just like all these fans that are release the Snyder cut. Well, this was
actually a very similar situation.
Very much. The fans were like, we want, because Donner had originally been trying to film Superman 1 and 2 back to back.
Yeah.
And he had most of it finished, but then he got into a scrape with the Sulkites. They fired him. They brought in, was it Mankiewicz that replaced him?
Lester.
Oh, Lester. I'm sorry, Lester. Yeah, they brought in Lester, and Lester refilmed a bunch of scenes.
Yep.
And he made it. A lot of those scenes were just goofy scenes that just didn't fit with the tone.
Are you saying you didn't like when General Zod was blowing on the crowd and the ice cream flew in the guy's face? That he had the ice cream.
I didn't like the whole opening segment. With all the pratfalls and stuff. It was like, this is not how you should really be starting what's going to end up being a very serious Superman film. I mean, it's.
Yeah, it was complicated. It was, it was actually very similar to Zack Snyder and what was happening to him.
Exactly. So what happened was a lot of the footage that got dropped and refilmed ended up getting used in various television cuts. You just did a video about television cuts.
Yes. And they've got the Superman television cut out on Blu-ray right now.
They do.
Yeah.
And I think there's a connection there because it was fans having VTR or VHS copies of various television cuts that all on the internet got together and shared this footage to put together as close as they could get a good Donner cut of Superman 2. And they had it out on the internet and whatnot, and they got hit with a cease and desist. And they sent a letter to Warner Brothers saying, look, we're not trying to infringe on your copyright. We want this thing. And if you put it out, we will pay for it. And Warner Brothers took them seriously. And they're like, well, okay. And so they went and got Donner. And they said, can you help us do this thing? And, they cleaned up some of that footage and pulled stuff out of the archives that, may not have been used on TV or whatever. They used the what do you call it? The test footage.
Yeah, the test footage stuff.
Which never was used before. And so, and then they released it and the fans were happy. So not only was for a while the fans' effort and pirating basically is what it was, the only option to preserve this media, but they were able to convince Warner Brothers to do likewise.
Yeah.
This isn't necessarily about media, but in a similar fashion, when I was a kid growing up going to Star Trek conventions, it was rough for dealers because back then there wasn't a lot of merchandise, and most of what was out there was bootleg stuff. It was resin casts of props and stuff that were obtained through not legitimate means, and CBS would just come through and hit them with cease and desists.
Yeah, which they're still doing because CBS.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't mess with CBS shit on. Sorry.
Interestingly, though, I had a very different experience at conventions with Star Wars and Lucasfilm stuff. Now, I don't know if Lucasfilm did the same thing with cease and desists, but they would send people to conventions and they'd take notes of what people were bootlegging and selling. And then they'd go back and they'd say, okay, market that. And then instead of paying $300 for a plastic, Han Solo blaster that was just a lump of plastic, they'd put out, a nice replica with sound and everything. And it's like, well, for $50-$60, I get something that looks perfect and professional and has sound. I'm not going to spend $300 on a lump of plastic. That's smart, So we can even that maybe not so legitimate way of doing things brings about positive change and gives the consumers what they want. And I still feel like CBS just leaves money on the table. You should be putting out the costumes. You should be putting out the props. You should be putting out the toys. If you don't, the fans will do it themselves. Look at the costumes at a convention.
They'll do it better too.
Yeah.
It's like the only way that I could get a copy of Night of the Leaf is because someone recorded it off TV and then made a VHS and then sold them. Otherwise, I never would have been able to get one.
Hey, PJ, how you doing?
What's up, PJ?
PJ.
Yep. Yeah, speaking of the fans doing it for themselves, I'm telling you that those guys have, and I know that PJ's telling them over and over again, get the merch out there, get the toys and the costumes and the props, because people are making their own right now. Yeah. Literally, I see the YouTubers making the figures. I see the cosplayers putting the costumes together, doing fan films. It's incredible. But
hi, Keely Chow.
Oh, hey, Keely, how you doing? Good to see you. But yeah, so Star Wars. Speaking of Star Wars, yeah, Disney's never going to give us an original release.
No, you're never going to get that original release from them. Never.
Originally, I had the 3 laser discs, the 3 films on Laserdisc. I traded them with a friend because he had the ability to transfer laser discs to DVDs. So I said, you can have the laser discs. He was collecting laser discs. Yeah. And these were the only laser discs I had. I said, I'll trade you the laser discs for a DVD copy. So I had them transferred to DVD. And then this, what is the name of the online personality that put together the theatric releases that are floating around the interwebs?
You're talking about the I can't think of their names either.
I'm looking right now. It's
Project something.
The despecialized.
Yes, yeah,
Harmy. Despecialized. Yeah, special. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the only way. And how are you going to get it? You gotta. And everybody in the community that downloads them says, look, own original copies first before you download these. You know, be as legitimate about it as possible. But yeah, got those 2.
The most original OG cuts you'll ever probably get are those laser discs you had, the original VHSs, and the closest,
which I do still have.
Yeah, the closest that George Lucas himself put out before they bought Disney was they were special edition DVDs of A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. Yeah. They have the laser disc transfer.
Oh,
on this, they were put out in like early 2000s, I believe.
Yeah,
they're not anamorphic though.
Yeah, they're not anamorphic.
They're full screen, aren't they?
Yeah, they're not full screen, but they can't be. You know, when you put a DVD in, even if it's an old DVD, and you put it on your DVD player, but it stretches it out to fill in your TV screen.
Yeah,
some movies wouldn't do that, and these are one of them because
that's the only George Lucas versions of the originals that you will get on DVD is those that he put out, and I believe it's the early 2000s.
What I find amazing though is that some of these fan edits out there are as close as you can get, and they'll use like footage from the special editions or whatever to get really good, clean, shots of things and whatnot, but not so much so that it, detracts. You know what I mean? Yeah, I find that incredibly interesting, and I've got a couple of fan edits of Star Wars where it's a fan special edition, if you understand what I mean. It doesn't go as far as Lucas did, like changing things, but it fixes little things, and sometimes it adds a laser blast when there's a sound effect that didn't have a laser blast, stuff like that, things that you almost wouldn't notice. The one thing that probably stood out the most was when the torture droid comes in for Leia with the needle.
Yeah,
as it zooms in on the needle is sparking an electrical effect. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool, But Han still shoots first.
Yes,
that's the way
he doesn't say McClunky. Greedo doesn't say
no McClunky. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, for crying out loud! Look, I have done whole streams about Death of the Author, and I think I might have said something on your Stranger Things video. If you release something, you're done. Walk away, okay? Because Da Vinci doesn't get to come in and touch up the Mona Lisa.
So this is what I said. Like in that video, I was probably a little on the second video. Because I did too. I was probably a little more lenient on the Duffer Brothers than I should have been. But at the end of the day, you have to let your artwork speak for itself. Once it's out there, it's out there. I can understand wanting to change something, but at the end of the day, it's out there. You've done it. Just leave it be. The fans have found their way towards it anyways. They love it. So, and just because a few select few maybe don't like that you messed up here, and it might make them sad or something. Yeah, that's like a minute fraction of the audience that you're trying to please.
I was unclear about that whole birth date thing. What was that about?
So they said an episode of season 4 of Stranger Things on Will's birthday that they had previously mentioned in season 2, being March 20-something.
Okay.
Right? They don't celebrate his birthday. Nobody wishes him a happy birthday. So one fan caught this, and so they decided to retro change in season 2 and replace his birthday from March to May, because they could make Winona Ryder say May instead of March. Just so people don't get sad, because yes, Will has been through a lot of crap on the show. He's been through the ringer, and they just felt it was too sad for people that they would forget his birthday.
For crying out loud, it's okay for characters to get killed off, but heaven forbid we forget their birthday. Yeah, damn. Actually, I think that kind of stuff adds to the show. It's a detail that you would miss unless you're paying attention.
A little trivia thing you can share later on down the line.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. This show is a huge show. People are going to be talking about it for years, even after it ends. When it ends, people, oh, that sucked, the ending, or oh, that was an awesome ending. And years down the line, when they go to revisit it, this is the part where they met. Yeah, they'll have a little fun doing that. But if you're already retroactively changing the show,
I feel like, especially these days when we have DVDs and DVD extras and commentaries, that's how you do it. Yeah. When you're doing your commentary on the episode, you can say, this episode, we didn't realize it at the time, but this is his birthday. We established it. Yeah. That's pretty hardcore. We wanted to go back and change it, but we didn't do that.
Yeah, and if you own those first 2 seasons on the Blu-ray or the 4K, those are the original unedited versions of Stranger Things.
Bingo.
Because which I talked about in that video, they have George Lucas, as they said, things in the first season that nobody has found. So if you have the Blu-rays, that's the original version of the show.
Yeah, I have to believe that if nobody, with as many fans that are scouring these things, haven't noticed, it's got to be some pretty darn minor stuff.
Yeah,
that like or all box for Ego for the time period or something, right?
Yeah,
right. But that's
most people are still just watching the streaming show and not even bothering watching the Blu-ray copies.
Here's my feeling on it, though. If you feel like you've made a mistake and have to go back to it, I would challenge any creator. Would Stanley Kubrick go back and change The Shining?
Would he go? Stephen King would want him to, but
I don't. Yeah, no. But I'm talking about the filmmakers. Would he go back and change 2001: A Space Odyssey? No. He was crazy about his details, and he made it exactly the way he wanted. And maybe it took him a long time. Maybe he went over budget. Maybe whatever. But he did it his way, and it was done. If you want to be that level of filmmaker, that's what you need to do. You don't half-ass it and then come back later and say, I had to fix this.
What about Ridley Scott?
Don't even get me started.
Or explain what you meant. I meant this.
Yeah, no, because the best artists don't explain their art. They let their art speak for themselves. Kubrick doesn't, say, I intended, that Jack Torrance was always alive, or he was reincarnated, or there was no supernatural. It was all in his head. He doesn't explain it. He lets you spend 40 years discussing it with other people and deciding. David Lynch doesn't explain crap. He'll listen when you say you believe this, and he'll go, "Oh, that's a good interpretation. I like that. I've got my own interpretation," and he'll never tell you what it is.
Yeah, he won't.
You know,
he'll say nope.
Exactly. And let's face it, those are the best shows. The ones that YouTubers are talking fan theories and back and forth and blah, 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 blah. And you never get a resolution. And you don't want to. You don't want to. You know? I mean, you just have to look at Book of Boba Fett to know you don't want all the answers.
I didn't watch it, so.
probably for the best. Hey, Dee Dee Meyer, the cat man. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Yeah. We're talking physical media.
That's what I was talking about too, which I'm still not quite sure on this one yet. I have to look into this more. But speaking of Disney, they still have the edited version of Adventures in Babysitting, the TV edit. They have never changed it. Disney has never changed it since they edited it. And I did hear, which haven't been able to prove yet, that the Blu-ray that they put out a while back is actually the edited version. She does not say the F word. She says fudge still in that version they put on Blu-ray. Yeah. Which I have to check out because I'm not really sure about that. I heard that, so I don't know yet. So if you have the original VHS or the DVD copy, you'll at least have the original until it can be proven whether or not that Blu-ray thing is true, which I need to check into. But if you're paying for a premium service, you should at least get the original cut of the film and not the edited version. So that's just my argument there. But that's what I say, man. I mean, if you're going to make sure you want to have something you love and you own, you got to get the Blu-ray, you got to get the DVD, you got to get whatever format you can get and just enjoy, because that's the best way to support physical media, and that's the best way to support what you love and speak with your wallet or without your wallet. We lose Troy?
No, I don't know. Let me see. Someone made a comment about Close Encounters of the Third Kind, how Spielberg, I think there are 3 different cuts of that movie, aren't there?
Yeah, there's 3 cuts of it. They released it on the 4K, the Blu-ray.
He'll be back.
Yeah.
But you get all the cuts, correct? When you buy
you get all the cuts, and he did. I know he changed something in the original cut of the theatrical cut. I can't remember what he changed. I can't remember what it was, but I don't know if they fixed it when they released the big box set of all 3 versions.
Maybe
but
they
he
did.
may have.
I know that I gave Steven Spielberg points because he did that special edition of E.T. many years ago.
Yeah. He changed some stuff on that too.
When it came out on DVD, the studio was going to make the original theatrical version as an extra when you bought the collector's edition. Spielberg put his foot down and says, no, you include theatrical E.T. with every copy of E.T. because some people buying it might be expecting to get the version they grew up with. So I gave him points for that, for not just, for making sure. I think now he even doesn't like that special edition.
Yeah, that was like at the time when they did all that was like when George Lucas was going back and fixing the Star Wars. So like Steven Spielberg is like one of his best friends. So they kind of were like, well, if he can do this, I can do this. And I think Spielberg down the line eventually said was like, maybe I shouldn't have did that. Whereas George Lucas was like, I could keep going.
I think with Close Encounters, it was because of length, because theatrical length, it had to be shorter. Because I know that was a big selling point of the original Laserdisc of Close Encounters. You're going to get with the added footage. Now, for all I know, that was a selling point to get you to buy the Laserdisc.
I've heard the 4K version is actually not a very good transfer of the film.
Really?
So, yeah.
I don't know anything about 4K, so it's like, I don't know. Is that supposed to be like the best thing out there?
Yeah. Yeah, 4K is the best, like the highest form of like HD at the moment. Well, 8K is on the way, but not 8K disc. We probably won't get 8K disc or anything like that. Yeah, 4K is like the top of the line.
Yeah, basically, when 4K televisions came out, it was going to be obvious that they would probably come out with a DVD format that supported full 4K as well. And the good news is a lot of older movies, at least a lot of they made a point about Ghostbusters, how some guy was doing specs and they were saying that Ghostbusters, the effects were practical. So because of that, that can be brought up to close to 4K with the modern technology. Yeah. But they were arguing that the original Marvel movies, that those effects used in them, like at least like the first Iron Man and like the Hulk and all that, like the earlier ones, they were not mastered for 4K.
No, all the Marvel 4Ks are actually just up converts.
Yeah, and I imagine the stuff with no effects in it, maybe they can up convert, make that true 4K. But anything effects, I think it's an up convert. So you're not really buying 4K then if you're buying
anything pretty much shot on film from like the 70s to like the late 80s.
Right.
Will look beautiful on 4K because they can scan those and clean them up and leave the grain and the effects, and it looks like almost like you're back in the theater with the big screen. So yeah, 4K is, if you get the right 4K, they're beautiful.
So what you're basically saying is it's always been own physical media, physical over digital. That is,
yes. A disc will play better than any streaming or digital copy. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Can I bring up a point, maybe the fan zone here? I've read some home theater enthusiasts scream when directors come back and they do color corrections and they make the colors worse. Like I heard that French Connection got a remaster when it came to Blu-ray, and everybody was screaming about the color correction that the director oversaw on that.
Yeah, I don't know much about the French Connection one, but yes, a lot of times when they scan these, they'll bring in the cinematographers and the directors and stuff, and they'll try to color correct them. Like some people complained with Out of Sight with George Clooney and Jennifer Lopez. Like there's a blue wash all over the film. Well, that's kind of what happens sometimes when you over color correct. You get stuff like that, and then some people complain about the original Halloween, like there's an orange and a blue wash, but that's because John Carpenter purposely put that stuff, that colors on there to make it feel more like fall, because the film was shot in Los Angeles, so he's trying to make it look like the Midwest because it takes place in Haddonfield, Illinois. So that's the true color, but that's the true color because that was originally added when he filmed it.
Okay.
So. Yeah, and sometimes when they go back and they color correct some of the like French Connection or like Out of Sight, they over correct the color, and you get the blue wash, and people look like Smurfs when they're not supposed to.
So in the case of John Carpenter, he's trying to correct it to the way it originally looked when it came out.
When he originally shot the film in 1978, he purposely put like a blue filter and an orange filter together to try to make it look fall like thing, which it's really not that noticeable because I have the 4K of Halloween, and it looks really, really good. It looks perfect. So, but some people complain about that because when they originally watched it back in the day, it wasn't really noticeable because the TVs weren't as clear as we have and stuff. So some people would get a little upset over it, but I think it looks great.
I'm going to totally age myself here. Is this akin to Turnerizing something?
It's kind of the reverse in a way. Yeah. I mean, whereas turnerizing or colorizing was digitally adding color that wasn't there initially. They're talking about color correcting something that was a better color but needed to be restored over time.
Yeah, when they try to fix the color and fix the color the way it was supposed to be, the way it was shot, and most of the time it worked, but sometimes they can over color correct and. What's his name? James Cameron has a problem with doing that. So, and I see a question here from D. Pinsack where he says, "Are all 4K discs region free?" Yes, as of right now, all 4K discs are region free. That means that can play on any 4K Blu-ray player anywhere in the world.
Huh?
That's a pain in the butt.
Interesting.
So if somebody in England makes a 4K of a movie that we don't have here on 4K, you can buy that and ship it to your house, and you can watch it on your 4K player without any problems, because Blu-rays and DVDs are region coded to certain areas, like Canada and America, and are like region A and then like South America, them are like region B or something like that, and you can't play movies from like England and South America in America if they're DVD or Blu-ray. But with 4K, you can play them on any 4K Blu-ray player anywhere in the world.
That's good, because it's a real problem, especially on sites like Amazon or Walmart. Because sometimes when the first DVD that pops up, if you try to order them, is not necessarily, if you're living in North America, you're not going to get the that region. You might get a European version. Yeah. I think my sister got an Australian Blu-ray for me, and I was worried it wouldn't play. Luckily, that one was region free. But
in some cases, they do give you. Did she get it from Umbrella? Do you remember the name?
Possibly, yeah. I don't know what it was, but it was some movie that was. I think it was Tender Mercies, and it wasn't actually available in North America on Blu-ray. So when you type it in Blu-ray, you get the out of your. I guess the Australian version. It's an American movie, but it's an Australian release of that DVD of that Blu-ray. Yeah,
there's certain companies that will produce Blu-rays or DVDs across the world that will actually give you a region-free Blu-ray or DVD. And Umbrella is a company in Australia that's
it might
really
be
good.
Umbrella.
They give you region-free Blu-rays. Like I just got Ghoulies 1 and 2 from Umbrella from Australia on Blu-ray, and it's what I love about it, and that's what I talked about in a video. Not only do I get Ghoulies 1 and 2 on Blu-ray, but I get 2 TV cuts of Ghoulies 1 on the first disc on the Blu-ray, and they're awesome because one TV cut is from 1988 or 89 from Ohio with all the commercials, and then another cut is from like the early 2000s from the WB. Hosted like with the horror movie hosts with all the commercials. So it's really, they have extra added scenes and it has the funny dialogue where they try to replace the cuss words. It's awesome. I love that stuff.
It's funny. I have on my Crank DVD. It actually has a separate track on there where you can listen to the airline cut of the dialogue where it's all the they use all the fake cuss words in that movie. It's just it's bad. Yeah. Actually, it is Umbrella, correct? The Tender Mercies I got was Umbrella. It is available on North American Blu-ray now, but yeah, the version I have is Umbrella.
Yes, Umbrella. Umbrella is a great company in Australia. I recommend Umbrella if anybody's looking for Blu-rays that you sometimes can't find in America. Umbrella has a lot of them, and they're usually 9 times out of 10 region free. Sometimes they are not region free, but they're usually region free.
It's interesting you brought up TV cuts, though. I have the Halloween, the original Halloween special edition that came out on DVD, like fairly early on DVD, and this limited edition came with the TV cut on it. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they've re-released that TV cut in subsequent editions. Okay.
I wish I would if I could get it for you guys, but it's over here. Yes, I have the 4K Halloween 1 and 2. They come with the TV cuts on Blu-ray.
That's cool.
Nice.
And Death Wish 2, the 4K edition, they recently released over here. That comes not on the 4K disc side, but on the Blu-ray side, you get the TV cut of Death Wish 2, which I was rather surprised that they went to that much trouble to put that on there. So
they've actually been starting to put TV cuts on disc here lately, which I really dig that. I really enjoy that because. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, they got a TV cut on the Criterion release too.
Yep. It's because sometimes
I can't even imagine what that would be. I mean, what's the point? What are the 2 points?
They shot extra scenes because you have to cut out other scenes, so they shot new scenes to fill in time for the TV version. You understand? So it's like you get extra scenes in your TV cut that weren't in the. It's because they had to shoot it for time. They did the same thing
for Beverly Hills Cop Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
There's the TV cut is very different than the theatrical cut because they actually had Eddie Murphy shoot the scenes twice, sometimes 4 times, because with the cussing, the F words, and all that, and then they'd have him go back. Now do it this way. Yeah. So they have the TV cuts of the. I don't know if it was released with the new 4K, but it might have been. I think it might have been.
Neat.
But yeah, it was. They have him, and you can tell though because he was a lot more tired in the TV edit versions than he was because he was like very up, and then when they have him shoot him so many times, and he's like, "You mother fudgers" or something, he's like, he's not really giving his best performance in those situations because he's tired and he's like done it 5 or 6 times already.
so it's have you seen the deleted scenes from Shaun of the Dead?
No, I have not.
Do you have a DVD of it?
I have the Blu-ray of Shaun of the Dead.
Okay. Yeah. Look for a special feature on there called Funky Pete. Okay.
Easter eggs. I love Easter eggs.
Yeah, it's and that's, well, I don't know about the Blu-ray, but that's how the DVD was. The menu had these Easter eggs that you had to find in order to find some of the special scenes. But there's this one scene called Funky Pete, and what it is it's the scene in their flat where Pete is ripping on them about being slackers and this and that, and what's his name? I'm forgetting the bigger guy.
Yeah.
He's F this, F that, da 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 da, and they take that whole tirade, and I guess Pete is the one who's swearing at them, and F this, F that, F. Well, he changes every fuck to funk. So they call it the Funky Pete cut. And instead, and as he's walking away, what's his name says prick, and instead he calls him prink. And honestly, it is so funny to hear it that way. It's kind of worth the watch. It's kind of like the TV edit of the Blues Brothers. I wasn't lying to you. I was bamboozling you. You've heard bullshit for so many years, and then suddenly you hear him say bamboozling. It's like, oh my God, that is so funny. It's actually funnier with bamboozling than it is with bullshit.
Or Johnny Dangerously.
Johnny Dangerously.
Oh, yeah, I just got that.
Well, but that is part of the joke. It's not even an alternate take. It's because his accent is so thick.
Yeah.
You farting ice hole. You dim cork sucker. Ooh, the mouth on that guy.
Speaking of which, if you can get the DVD of that, which is pretty cheap right now, which I just bought, that's almost...
Of Johnny Dangerously?
Of Johnny Dangerously.
We got it.
Yeah, is it the newer version?
Probably not.
The newer version, if you can get a hold of it, which is really, really cheap too, it's basically a Blu-ray. The transfer in that is so good.
Wow.
That because you'll probably never get Johnny Dangerously on Blu-ray. To be honest with you, because Disney owns it now.
Right.
Because it was part of Fox.
Right.
But if you can get a hold of the new Blu-ray DVD, it is Blu-ray quality.
I'll have to look into that then.
It's beautiful. I just got it.
So you were talking about alternate, and there's a couple different reasons that they do alternate cuts. Like you said, for commercial television, they got it, for time, for nudity, language, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But another reason that they do it is for airlines. If you're showing it on an airline, there could be kids sitting behind you and stuff, so they got to clean it up. So, and that oftentimes goes hand in hand with your television edit. And I saw a television edit of, and we did a rewatch of this too, because it was filmed here in Chicago, about last night. Demi Moore and Rob Lowe and Elizabeth Perkins and Jim Belushi. And there's a great montage with a beautiful song by Bob Seger, Living Inside My Heart. But the montage over it is them moving in together, interspersed with them getting busy, right? And yeah. And it's you definitely see the boobage there. So obviously they had to edit this for television.
Yeah.
So they left as much in as they could so that you knew what was happening, but then they took out and you kind of wonder at some point how are they? Well, what they did was they sped up the song. The song goes a little bit faster because they took out some scenes to make it fit. But then as I'm sitting there watching, I'm like, okay, now how do they do this next scene? Because there's no way around it. They come downstairs afterwards to go raid the fridge, and they're both buck-ass naked. And you can't kind of fudge over that.
Nope.
She's wearing his shirt, and he's wearing a pair of briefs. And I'm like, this ain't CG. This is real. They filmed this twice.
Yeah, back in the day, they would do alternate cuts, and that's what you would typically see on TV cuts and edited cuts. And I want to get to this question real quick from D. Pinsek. He says, is there a best online source for researching DVD, Blu-ray, and various versions of single titles? Best place to start if you're getting into it is Blu-ray.com. Go to Blu-ray.com. It lists all the Blu-rays, 4K DVDs, where they're on sale. That's the best way to start researching.
Good information. Yeah.
Back in the day, in like the 70s and more so in the 80s, not so much the 70s, they would take alternate cuts because they knew it air on TV. So
yeah, and like I said, I got as far as DVDs, and now the only Blu-rays I'm getting are the ones where you kind of have to get the Blu-ray because either there's no DVD available or, well, especially if it's a multi-pack, right? It's got the DVD and the Blu-ray together. It's like, well, it might as well, right? Yeah. But one of the things that Boomer was telling me, and I had no idea, I just assumed, well, Blu-ray, it's got to be better, right? And he's like, well, no, not necessarily. Sometimes it's just the same quality as the DVD, and they just put it on a Blu-ray.
Exactly. Well, MGM is the biggest. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Agent Boom.
No. I think I was going to say where you're going to go ahead.
Yeah, MGM is the biggest. What do you call them? The biggest criminal for doing this. A lot of the early MGM Blu-rays, they just took the DVD transfer, put it on Blu-ray, and said it was 2K. It's not. It's just the DVD version. So
it's like if you had an upscaling DVD player, it's what you would get with that, basically, right? If you put your DVD in upscaling DVD player, or Blu-ray player, and it would look like that.
Yeah.
And I was always of the mind that if VHS was good enough for me, then DVD is definitely fine. Because if nothing else, if it's not a better quality, at least it's got greater longevity. VHS tapes have a very limited shelf life.
They do. And as someone who still collects VHS, you got to make sure you get the right ones and keep them in a good place so they don't get mold and take good care of them.
Do you do like transfers just to protect them, or just to?
Not so much on the VHSs, because most of the time, most of the VHSs I have already got on Blu-ray or DVD.
That makes sense.
So
there's some VHSs you still can't get on even DVD. Like I was a big fan of those Mind's Eye. I don't know if any of you remember those computer animated movies set to music. They take like different computer animation and set it to music from the 90s, and they released the 2 through 4 on DVD, but they never put the first one on DVD, and so the original Mind's Eye is only available on VHS, maybe Laserdisc if they release it on Laserdisc.
Yeah. That's another thing I try to find with the VHS is because there are some movies that never went from VHS to DVD to Blu-ray to 4K and probably never will. So if you can find them, they are expensive. So if you can find them and you can get them cheap, you might want to pick those up.
And it's worth knowing how to transfer from VHS to DVD to make your own DVDs, because again, in order to preserve that physical media, it may not be enough to just own the VHS. You might want to transfer to DVD so that you can have it for an extended period. Or, if you were like me and Netter, we've got stuff that's unique on VHS, like an appearance of us on public television when we were answering phones when we were dating, that we have that on VHS. We need to be able to transfer that to DVD to be able to to keep that and save that and whatnot.
Definitely.
But this is good stuff. This is why this is the long form of what I'm always saying in shorthand. This is why you own physical media, because they will edit it. They will take it away from you. They will change formats. They won't tell you that it's been changed. And sometimes it's because I have DVDs going back so far that sometimes people will say something about, well, if you have the older version, oh, I do have the older version. Oh, I never noticed that, But also, again, talking about fair use, although DVDs probably aren't going to degrade significantly in my lifetime as long as I take care of them, there is a possibility. So knowing how to copy a DVD is a worthwhile thing in fair use for yourself. Netter has gotten me a bunch. I was showing you the Doctor Who. Some of those Doctor Who's that were put out on DVD are out of print, and they are very, very expensive now. So if I'm going to obtain them, you know, and spend $40, $50 for one disc, I'm going to make a copy of that.
Yeah,
and the copy is what I'm going to watch. And I'm going to put the original away somewhere, you know?
Yep.
And so what you might often see in my collection here is a copy of one. And can you guys hear me? Did I just?
Yeah.
No, I can hear you.
I'm having some technical difficulties here. So I might have a copy in here, but the original is in a protected place, you know?
Yes.
I did pay for it so that the company knows there's a call for this, so they will continue to put out. That's why when they put out, and I don't remember which serial it was that they put out for the Second Doctor, I don't remember now which one it was. The first one that was the animated, you know, reconstruction. They said, yeah, we're probably not going to end up doing this for a lot of them because, you know, it was so labor intensive. But the fans bought it up like crazy, and they were like, hey, maybe there's a market for this. And sure enough, you know, the fans just bought them, and they're like, oh, okay. You know,
that's the thing. That's the thing, too, because if you want something, I know, you know, it can be tough with money and everything, but if you want something, you have to buy it. You have to speak with your wallet, because some people say, like, why can't we get this movie on DVD? Why can't we get this movie on Blu-ray? Well, that's because when it was released on VHS or DVD, nobody bought it, so they're not going to transfer it.
Yeah,
so you have to buy. So if you want that, like, movie from the 60s or the 70s, you have to buy it. So because they look at the sales.
Yeah. Yep.
And then if that sells well, they'll transfer it to Blu-ray. They'll transfer it to 4K, so you can get it however you want it. So
you have to look, especially when studios are bought out, like when 20th Century Fox was bought by Disney. I'm like, if there are any 20th Century classic movies you want on either DVD or Blu-ray, I figured I might best look into getting those now, because I don't know what's going to happen under the mouse with those.
Yeah, and you'll probably never get like the Aliens on 4K or the Die Hards, because the Aliens and the Die Hard and the Home Alones were actually done by Fox on 4K before Fox was bought. So they're on 4K, but they're not. The Aliens isn't the best because
it's probably the best.
Everybody involved in what they like, Ridley Scott and James Cameron, they're notoriously hard to get them to do their transfers. So they're out there. You can get them, but you know, Disney had to release them. So Disney probably won't for a while release any other 4Ks of the Fox stuff.
So, I know you're also a horror fan, right?
Yes.
Hammer horror?
Yes.
Okay. So you could probably commiserate really well with Aged Boomer on the difficulties of obtaining some of those. And the rights issues and stuff.
It's gotten easier now. Okay.
It's a little easier, but they're all over the place, because like Shout Factory has some of them. Kino Lorber, I think, has some. Yeah, and then like there's a box set of Hammer Horror. So like they're all over the place, but you can find most of them now. But they're still out there. Some of them are hard to get to.
That was one of those examples that I was talking about, where I was trying to obtain certain, you know, I think I was trying to get all of the Dracula films, and some of them I just couldn't find except for, you know, incredibly expensive prices, until Netter's like, well, what about a Blu-ray? They got it on Blu-ray? Oh yeah, I can get that for $20. I'm like, that's why the DVD is almost completely unattainable. Okay, yeah, you know.
It's true.
Yeah, well, the problem with Hammer, Troy, was Hammer is all under one umbrella, obviously in the United Kingdom, but over here, sometimes it'd be Universal Studios would release some of them. Warner Brothers would release other movies, so they all got released by different studios. That's why, you know, for a while, especially in the days of DVD, like Paramount would release some. Warner Brothers released their own, and I think the bulk of the Fox ones were put up by Anchor Bay, and I didn't bother buying those because I was all being stubborn, saying I want you to release a box set of Hammer Horror, and not being dumb enough at the time not to realize that's not going to happen over here in North America.
Right.
But luckily, thank goodness for Blu-ray, and this is why we can sometimes we get new formats, is something that was a rare DVD and not out of print may get a re-release on a new format like Blu-ray, and I was able to get the ones I missed on Blu-ray, so that's what I did.
And which is why I, why I put together my own custom box sets, for stuff just like that. Would you be able to grab my the Dracula collection? It's on the bottom left shelf. Just want to show that.
I will say, I love Hammer Horror. It was good, but I was also always a Universal Monster fan, and I love the Universal Monsters. And I got the big box set of all the Universal Monster films.
The Blu-rays?
The Blu-rays. That is a great set.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I don't have the full box set, but I have like the Mummy one. I think I have the Frankenstein one, and then I got Dracula and Invisible Man by themselves. But
it's a great box set, and they were all scanned in 4K, and they are releasing them now in 4K. But the thing is, if you have that big Blu-ray box set, you really don't need those on 4K because they look pretty much exactly the same.
Yeah,
there's really no difference. So in this case, I would say if you get the Blu-rays, you're fine with if you get the new set they came out with.
So this is my custom Hammer Horror Dracula collection.
Whoa,
nice!
And
like
it's let's
see,
like
how many you get at a mom and pop video store. The big boxes.
Yeah.
Remember those?
Yeah. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. It's a 10 disc because I actually have both edits. The what is it? The Seven Brothers.
No.
Meet Dracula and the Seven Golden Vampires, the two different edits of the film.
I can't do it.
I'm a completist.
I know Shout Factory put out a nice Blu-ray that I can't. I like Shaw Brothers Kung Fu movies. I like Hammer Dracula, but it's like peanut butter and chocolate. Maybe some people like it together. I don't know. I just can't. It's the two together. It's the only thing I liked about that was Peter Cushing, like in China, like talking about vampires at some university, and the Chinese students are like, "What do you think you don't think we're an advanced country, do you? By bringing up these stupid superstitions or something like we're going to buy them?" Like they were insulted that, of course, he's seen vampires, but they were thinking he was talking down to them by bringing up superstitions, thinking they would buy it. It was funny. It was just a funny.
That's funny, yeah. I've always thought that all of that whole line of horror Dracula films would be awesome if they were adapted into a comic book form, like when Marvel was doing
They did like a couple comic books, but they were like, it wasn't like a regular thing. You're right, yeah. Like
it's a shame,
yeah. Because on my Blu-ray of Vampire Circus, you get to see a little bit of the comic book of Vampire Circus, which was kind of neat. Yeah,
I remember because I've loved and I know that British fans talk about the do they call them annuals over there? I was talking with somebody about annuals, comic book annuals, and I said that annuals in Britain are different than they are here. In Britain, every year around Christmas, a title would get like a special prestige, maybe sometimes hardcover reprint of a bunch of titles from throughout the year. Whereas here, the annuals are standalone, larger, longer format, bigger stories that aren't part of the 12. So usually I think you'd have to go to the comic book store to get them. If you were just a subscriber by mail, you only got the regular 12. So anyway, but those prestige formats were how you could oftentimes get the film adaptations in comic book forms. Like I had all of the Star Wars comics for the movie adaptations in like a magazine format or whatever.
Yeah.
And in fact, In fact, I've told this story before. I had the magazine Marvel Comics adaptation of Return of the Jedi and read it before I went to see the movie. Kind of spoiled it for myself.
You just
but I was okay.
Could you?
Nah, I was okay with it.
You'd be one of those kids online looking at the spoilers. I have to know what happens.
Exactly. I do not mind spoilers. It doesn't bother me at all. I'm still going to see the movie. I'm still going to love it. You know, I might not have enjoyed the comic as much if I had read the comic after seeing the movie.
Sometimes in those comic adaptations, they have like stuff that's not in the movies, like a deleted scene. You know,
yeah, a lot of those scenes that we all know about from Star Wars. You know, the Anchorhead scene and the watching the battle and whatnot. It's in the comic adaptation, or at least there's stills of it in the storybook.
That's because a lot of those comics and the novelizations are based off of the first couple drafts of the movie screenplays. Yeah. So they have different stuff in them when you read them than the actual movie because it's not based off the shooting script.
Right. And this is why, for example, that Jabba the Hutt scene in Star Wars, it actually appears in the comic. The deleted scene that was eventually, put into the special edition with the CG. Because at the time, he hadn't decided what what Jabba the Hutt was going to look like. So in the comics, Jabba the Hutt is portrayed as one of the other aliens that you see in the background, the one that's wearing the red, it looks like an Imperial uniform, and he's got like the long Fu Manchu type mustache. It's that guy. It's just really interesting. But that was...
Say that was like the guy posing as Jabba. No, I guess it wouldn't work.
Well, actually, it's funny. It's funny you say that because as like an homage to that, appearance in Marvel Comics, that character was given the lore. I think I don't remember if it's a customizable card game or where it was that he was a messenger for Jabba the Hutt and often stood in for him in remote meetings and stuff like that. So, it's like, if you know what that's referencing, but real quick, I want to say hi to Heather Preston. Good to see you.
Hi, Heather.
Thanks for stopping in. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you though.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's another thing. Like when I say physical media, I don't just mean like DVDs, Blu-rays, VHS, all that. I mean, like comic books and books and stuff. Yeah, that's thing because like that's something too. Is like you don't get that with like stuff now. Is like you can have the original Return of the Jedi Marvel comic book, as it was intended. Because you never know if Disney releases that, if they'll change that comic book because they own the comic book now. So
the newer Marvel artists to redo that scene. Yeah.
And going back to Doctor Who again. Again, there's all of these serials from the first three Doctors that are missing. But yes, they all have been released in audio format because the audio for all of them exists. So you could get CDs and listen to them. And they've also all been released in novelization format. We're not used to that here in the States. We don't have novelizations of most Star Trek episodes, for example.
Yeah.
But they did have.
They did.
Yeah. There was a couple that they did, but not all of them.
Well, no. I meant Doctor Who. Yeah,
Doctor Who. They had all.
They re-released those years back when New Who was becoming big, and they were releasing the old. And Neil Gaiman did an intro, I think, to one of them, or was it?
Doesn't surprise me.
And he said that back in the day, if you wanted to catch up on the episodes you missed or episodes that before you started watching the show, this was how you did it. You read the books. We didn't get to watch the old episodes. Yeah,
right. Yeah. Because if you were younger, and it aired before you were old enough to really watch it, there weren't reruns back then. I know we live in a spoiled era where, we can own physical media or, it's streaming anytime you want it or whatever. Back then, you watched it once, there might have been a rerun, and that was it, unless it got syndicated and it wasn't that. That's not what happened with Doctor Who. It literally got showed once, twice, and then it was never seen again. That also has to do with the way that intellectual property worked over there in UK. They'd save it on a VTR. They distribute it. They expected to get it back, and then they destroy the recording so they could reuse the tapes. The tapes were more valuable than what was on them because there was no commercial value to save them if they could never legally rebroadcast these shows. So that's how a lot of these things got lost. The only reason some things exist today is because when they'd send them overseas, sometimes they didn't make it back, or someone maybe made a not legitimate copy, or whatever the case is. And it might not have been legal, but BBC's like, hey, we won't say nothing. Let us just, get a copy of that and whatnot. Yeah. Well, that's how the audio exists. The audio exists because before, this was like late 60s, early 70s, most people didn't have any kind of recording device unless they worked for a studio or a network or something. But most kids had audio recorders.
Yeah.
So when they'd watch Doctor Who, they'd set up their audio recorder and they'd get a recording of the audio. And actually, a lot of people did that. So when they realized there was a desire for this thing and they didn't have them anymore, BBC put out a call and said, if you think you have a good copy of these episodes, send them to us, please help us in the restoration process. And that's what they did. And sometimes they would take different people's copies and edit them together, take out, Mom calling you to dinner on this one, and, the sound of the toilet flushing on this one, and put them all together to make as clean a copy as they could. And then they digitized them and put them out on CD for commercial release.
Yeah.
But there you go. That's another example of why we even have what we do today. And this idea of rewriting history, I think you both have said that.
That's what I worry about. Like, how long till they get to documentaries that people trigger or are offended by, that decide, well, we'll just change this actual factual documentary so that when people watch it,
I literally see that. But
I can see that happening.
Both of you have made this point. It's fine if you want to do a new version of something, just keep the old one available. For archive reasons. Yeah. This is why when you start getting into, these arguments that people have online about what's canon, what's not, changing this, that, and the other, it's like, look, you cultural vandals can say and justify anything you want, but there is a reason that the original Starship Enterprise is in the Smithsonian. And that abomination that you have on screen now ain't it.
Yeah.
And we have the Franz Joseph Tech manuals and all these other things. This is what it looks like. These are the dimensions. These are laid down and square. And if it doesn't match that, you can't say it's canon. We will never accept it. You can say it all you want. You are the IP holders and you can make any bullshit you want. We will never accept it as canon.
That's true.
It's kind of the opposite of what we were talking about. If you buy the discs, if you pirate something, but say, if you give it to us, we'll pay for it, and then they start doing it, that's the positive reinforcement to get them to give the consumer what they want. If you withhold your money because you refuse to accept it, it's the exact opposite. That's the stick.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the bottom line is these companies, whether you want to believe it or not, they don't care about your feelings. They don't care about your beliefs. They don't care about your wokeness or whatever. They care about money. Yep. And if something eventually starts getting to the point where they're not making money, like you're kind of seeing with Warner Brothers right now, with Zaslav taking over from AT&T, that's not making money. This is what people don't understand this. If Warner Brothers was actually making money, AT&T wouldn't have sold them.
Yeah,
they wouldn't have sold them.
Yeah.
So there was a reason AT&T sold them to Discovery, and now Zaslav who owns Discovery and that, is looking at this going, we got to get rid of this shit.
Yep.
We got to make money.
And when the cultural vandals start reading about it on social media, he goes, I don't care.
It's the thing is,
I do not care. You did not come to the theaters. You did not, stream the thing. You did not watch it. So I don't care what you say.
Exactly. You can make all the stink you want about
talk is cheap
and all that. You're not watching it to begin with, and eventually, certain companies, I can't say all of them because for whatever reason, like Disney just loves losing money.
Yep.
And having people say, "Hey, they stuck this person in there, so I feel represented."
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, eventually there's going to be a bit of a resurgence of people just trying to make money.
Yeah.
So,
and this is why you do get to see the changes, right? When you do see that people get fired, people are being replaced, things are being reshot, because the people in the boardroom are going, yeah, nobody's paying for this thing. We need this to
mm-hmm.
and I don't know if Zaslav knows thing one about DC Comics and Superman, but what he does know, he does know that Superman is a big commercial thing. It's an iconic thing, all the toys and all this stuff, and he can look online and see what people are saying and going, okay, a lot of people arguing about this stuff. I don't know what any of this means, but fix it. And who's going to do it? Not you, who's been making this crap that nobody seems to like and has divided the fan base. Who can I talk to? Who actually knows stuff that people like, No,
the thing is, he actually said he bought Warner Brothers because of the DC universe.
I wonder how much of that is just him saying,
he sees it
part of a spin tech.
He probably knows it can make money. I think.
That's why he bought the money. He says, this is what he said. He said, like, this is $1 billion. DC, the franchise can be $1 billion, and with making movies like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, you can make like $1 billion on that, and then you can trickle that money into other projects in Warner Brothers, thus building up the other slate of movies, because the DC universe will pay for their other movies.
Yeah.
That's why he bought it.
Exactly. And I mean, when you hear these rumors about what's his name, they're trying to woo Jon Favreau over, it's like that's an indicator that whether it's happening or not, the fact that somebody's thinking about it gives you the idea that they're looking for somebody who can take the orchestra and conduct it. Yeah. Which is what Favreau did, right? He did that over at Marvel. Everybody wants to say, Feige. Fuck Feige. It was Jon Favreau that put together the Marvel Cinematic Universe that we loved and started it on its path. Feige took over, and the things that were in the pipeline were still good, and then it slowly started to go to shit.
Truth of the matter is, Favreau actually kind of was phased out of Marvel because of Disney and them, because when he was making Iron Man 2, he was going to make it a bit darker. It was going to be more based on the Demon in the Bottle storyline, which you get a very, very small portion of that.
Very loosely,
Very, very loosely. But that's when Disney bought it from Paramount, and he kind of got into it with Disney. He kind of did, and so after Iron Man 2 and all the changes, he phased out. That's why he stopped directing and everything, because it kind of pissed him off. And the movie that he did, Chef, the movie Chef, was sort of his like, this is what I want to do, and like his way back in. Yeah. And so he came back, but he really didn't have any more power.
Well, and this is
amends. So.
And what you just said is exactly why I put a good deal of credence into the rumor from Doomcock about him being at wit's end and wanting to walk away from Star Wars.
I can believe it
because he did it. He did it with Marvel, right? It's like, look, do you want me to do this or not? Because you can get anybody to monkey, whatever you say to do. But what you have me here for is to give you the product that you really want, which is giving the fans what they want and making you money.
Exactly. I mean, that's what he did. He made money with Iron Man, and he helped start the Marvel universe, and Disney is Disney, and kind of screwed him over a little bit. Yep. And so he went out and he made his name back again, and they brought him back in, and he made him more money because he makes some money. He does. Yep. And I can see him being at wit's end with Lucasfilm, especially with Kathleen Kennedy and everything over there, and the direction they want to go. And it's probably not quite the direction he wants to go.
And I honestly think that he's in that negotiation room saying, "Look, do you want me to do what you have me here to do? Because if not, I could be somewhere else." It's that simple. And I wouldn't blame him in the slightest.
I wouldn't blame him. I wouldn't blame him either. But we'll see on that front. So,
but and that's why there's things I like about Mandalorian. There's things I liked about Book of Boba Fett, but I definitely do see the Kathleen Kennedy influence there, and so we're never going to get truly great Star Wars as long as she's there.
Yeah, you
and. Look, I hear all of the speculation and the whys and the what fors, but what it friggin' comes down to is Zaslav is taking a machete to that place, and Chapek is doing ransom videos. I mean,
yeah,
I don't care what 4D chess he's playing. The results don't show. Right. And by the time he actually starts making any changes, nobody will be watching Marvel. Nobody will be watching Star Wars. No one's going to give a shit.
It's true. It's true.
It's just that simple.
He's got an uphill battle over there. That's for sure.
But I'm just kind of tired of it. But
I pretty much live in the past, man. I get it's like Tom Savini said, because I love Tom Savini. Just because you haven't seen a movie from the past doesn't mean it's old. It's still new to you when you see it.
That's true.
It's still new. So I'm paraphrasing, of course. He said it much better than I did. But yes, that's why I love talking physical media on my channel and stuff, because I tend to gravitate more towards like the 80s, the 90s, the 60s, the 70s, stuff like that, because I find so many more movies in those eras that I remember growing up and seeing, or that I missed, that are much better than today's entertainment. And not that I can't find new entertainment I like.
You got to dig. You got to hunt for it, though.
Yeah, it's a lot harder because it's become content. It's you can argue with the wokeness. Yes, the wokeness is there, but it's also become content. It's quick, it's fast, it's pumped out. Things are being greenlit quicker than ever before in Hollywood, where like maybe a script comes on somebody's desk, and that script would have probably went through like 5 or 6 rewrites before it was published. Now it's going through like one rewrite, boom, it's out on your TV in a month.
Yeah.
It's just content.
Troy and I, we were doing an article the other week at Geeky Geezers about Tomb Raider. There's now, because now I think whoever had it lost has now given up the rights to it. So now there's a bidding war on like the movie rights to Tomb Raider, Lara Croft. And because it's known property, it's known IP, known intellectual property. I'm like, don't just buy it because it's a known IP. Buy it because you want to make a good Lara Croft movie. It's it's just
all they care about is IP name. That's all they care about.
But I will defend the corporate mentality. That's fine if in making that investment you understand that it only has value if you treat it as the thing that it is, right? You don't buy the Hope Diamond to chop it up into a bunch of little wedding rings. You buy the Hope Diamond because it's the Hope Diamond, right?
If it's chopped up, you'd be giving lots of people hope.
Yeah, well, yeah. But you know what I mean. It loses its value. And this is unfortunately what so many companies with Star Wars and so many the Rings of Power and all this other stuff, they pay for it because it's a known thing, but then they don't make that thing. The Rings of Power is not Tolkien, okay? You paid for a franchise that has a fan base because the fan base comes with it. But if you make,
Go ahead.
What?
I was gonna say that's where they make the mistake.
Yeah.
A lot of because they are in the business of making money and everything, and they buy these IPs, these franchises because of the name recognition. They make the mistake because they really don't care. They put the name out there and they say, well, it's Tolkien, it's Star Trek, it's Star Wars, it's Marvel. They're going to watch it. It doesn't matter what it is. Mm-hmm. And that's where they've started to make their mistake because people are starting to turn away because this ain't Star Trek. This ain't Star Wars. This ain't Lord of the Rings. We don't want this. This isn't Marvel. Right. So
and what ends up happening is they look at it and they go, this is not Tolkien. This is generic fantasy show. You should have just made generic fantasy show.
Exactly.
You know, and it might have actually done well because then the Tolkien fans would go, oh, this is like what I like, but it's not directly besmirching what I like. Let me see if I enjoy this.
They don't have any faith in original properties. They don't. They won't give original properties a chance at all. They just would rather have the IP name and make their money from that.
Right. I wanted to get to Matt Inui's question. He makes an excellent point. What if the physical comics are taking up space? Say I buy enough Spawn comics that I have nowhere to put them. What would be the solution? So that does bring up an excellent point. If you have a lot of stuff and you want to, store it in a very finite space, this is why a lot of people go with digital media. Mm-hmm. We've talked about the dangers of it, but there are benefits to it, right? If you have a whole bunch of movies on a hard drive, or you have a bunch of PDFs, on thumb drives, as opposed to the physical media for space reasons, understood. But when it comes to comics, I would say if you're buying individual issues, those can start to take up space. The first thing I would recommend is you buy your long boxes and you keep things organized and orderly. And then you can stack those long boxes and, fill up a space in your basement or whatever. And I say
one box. It's filled with Badger.
Yeah, Netter collected Badger. She's got all the Badger comics in a long box. I have a whole ton of long boxes of all kinds of stuff, right? But when I wanted to do back issues, we're talking either they're cost prohibitive because they're rare, or we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of back issues. Sometimes you're better off just getting the trade paperbacks. They take up a lot less room, and it's not like they're abridged or anything. They're just compact. All that space in between books is eliminated. So that's a great option, and it's a little bit cheaper too. Yeah. I see what's her name? The Noob Reviews. Have you seen her? I'm going to have her on in a couple weeks. She's a young girl who's getting into comics now, and some of them she's reading like old Silver Age Superman comics, and she's laughing about how silly they are. And and she had gotten a copy of The Killing Joke, and she was talking with Pops on Pop Culture, and he's like, "Is that an original first print?" She goes, "I don't know." He says, "Was it expensive?" She goes, "Yeah, we kind of spent a lot of money. My husband, insisted." And he's like, "Can you hold it up?" And he holds it up. And he goes, "That's an original print. Don't read that. Go buy a reprint for cheap." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And it's like, if you really, really want that original, uncreased, keep it in the bag, whatever, that's fine.
Yeah.
But you can save a lot of money by getting reprints or trade paperbacks or whatever, because you get more bang for your buck and you can read all of those issues.
I have an image of someone reading the first issue of Action Comics they bought at a comic thing and eating a sloppy sandwich while reading it.
I did see a video of somebody who had an Action Comics #1 up for auction, and they had it on a velvet stand, and they were turning the pages with tweezers, and they had gloves on their hands, and I'm like, I should think so. I mean, pulp paper does not hold up very well. That's another thing. That's another thing. The upside of trade paperbacks is they're usually on that acid-free plasticky type paper that lasts a lot longer. Whereas the original might be on pulp paper, they fade over time, the paper yellows, and it gets brittle, So you got to think about longevity with stuff like that too. It's the same kind of problem I'm talking about between VHS and DVD.
Speaking of, like, you talked about the action comics and what it sells. I don't know if you guys heard this, but an original copy of Back to the Future, unopened, sold for $75,000.
Yeah.
The VHS?
Wow.
A VHS copy, an original VHS copy of Back to the Future, unopened, still in the shrink wrap.
So we were talking about, and Boomer was talking about the Betamax of what was it, Rambo 2?
Rambo 2. Yeah, well, First Blood Part 2, Rambo, and it was going for on eBay at least. Someone selling it for almost $30,000.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know about those particular films I know the films, but the value on those particular items, I don't know. Oh, geez. This is Deleted Scenes is like the best Blue Wrench. He said Noob's Review will join the show on September 9th. Don't wait and sub to her. That's awesome. I don't even remember off the top of my head what I have scheduled, but he's going behind the scenes and he's looking.
Make him a wrench on my channel.
He really is awesome. He really is. But I do know that there was. It almost raises to the level of urban legend about the Disney VHS in the white clamshells. I don't know if it was the collector's editions or whatever they were.
Black Diamonds.
Black Diamonds, thank you.
Those are urban legends because I've had a few of those old Disney Black Diamond VHS. Some people try to tell you they'll sell for $2,000, $3,000. No,
right.
They'll sell for $1.
Yeah,
they'll sell for $1. They're not worth that much money.
Do you know what the actual story is behind it, though?
I didn't quite read it, but not quite.
Okay. So again, this could also be an urban legend or another part of the urban legend, but it actually makes sense. So apparently they were going for thousands of dollars on eBay, right? Mm-hmm. And they actually were. You'd see these listings for them for over $1,000. Now, Netter will tell you, because Netter's the eBay guru in this house, that I'll be looking for something and she'll find it for hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and I'm like, I don't want it that bad. She goes, oh, never mind. A bunch of other people are selling it for $2-3, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, put something on the watch list, and it's like $60 or $30 or something, and it's like,
yeah.
Do you need this in package?
No, I could take it loose.
Does it have to have this accessory? No. Okay, I just got
landline phone
for $5.
But anyway, I know he's taking a call, but I'm going to go ahead and go on with my story. But at least for the chat's purposes. But my understanding was that at least with those Disney and sometimes people are selling things for these crazy high prices because they think it's so valuable and they haven't bothered to do the research, and it's not selling because everyone's buying it for a lot less. You got to pay attention to what it's actually going for. But apparently some of these Disney films were actually being listed for thousands of dollars, and people started to believe that they were valuable and would try going after them. But the reason they were being sold for that was not because the people selling them thought they were worth that much. It's because the style of the clamshell and how it worked with, in the mail and whatnot. You could, instead of putting a tape in there, you could put other things you wanted to send through the mail for
like stuff that goes up your nose.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought I had my phone on silent. I have to go do something real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay. No problem.
Give me a minute.
Yeah, go for it. That's fine. So, but yes, so it was a way for, let's just call it what it is, drug dealers to sell drugs online, and you were supposed to know who you were buying from, what you were getting, and, they would be using these cases and so they could literally send you $1,000 on PayPal, and then they'd send you your drugs in a plastic clamshell.
You know what the next could be? Those collector's cups for Phantom Menace that had Queen Amidala and Jar Jar Binks, and inside those cups could be something else. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
what's Star Wars collectibles? Everybody loves these. You know,
and I'm just telling you guys, this is not me advocating for breaking the law. You're taking, because that's sending illegal contraband through the mail is a federal offense, and if you don't vote Democrat, you're going to jail. That's just how the FBI works these days. So, but
they don't care about little people. I'll say you that much.
I love this. That's some expensive fairy dust. Yeah, exactly.
So that's
good one, David. Good one.
Can I ask FanZone a question?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
There are actually two, but I don't. Maybe this is too complicated. But do you have a favorite DVD or Blu-ray? Not necessarily a favorite movie that you have on DVD or Blu-ray, but a favorite DVD or Blu-ray that you just thought was a really cool release.
I don't know if I could really answer that because I've got so many.
So many you like. Okay,
so many I like. I look at my shelf over here.
You don't have to. You can't think of one. It's all right.
I got so many of them, man.
Is there an upcoming release you're looking forward to that you're excited is coming out on Blu-ray?
The Army of Darkness on 4K.
Oh, I have the Blu-ray of that.
That's coming out on 4K. I'm looking forward to that. Actually, there's a bunch coming out I'm looking forward to. The Army of Darkness 4K, the Fog on 4K.
Have the Scream Factory Blu-ray of that. Too.
Yeah, that's coming out from Scream Factory. Scream 2 on 4K. I can't. I do so many. I do videos. I do coming soon to Blu-ray 4K on my channel where I talk about the latest releases. Reservoir Dogs on 4K from Quentin Tarantino. I'm looking forward to that one. Yeah. So there's a bunch I'm looking forward to.
That where you get the different covers. Remember the old DVD release
with
that?
Mr. Pink, Mr.
White. Pink. I got Mr. Brown, but there were different covers. Yeah. I remember that. But yeah, no 4K. Actually, I saw the pic of the. Scream 4K. The steelbook looks really rather nice. Actually, I'll say.
Oh yeah, it's actually I got that Scream steelbook from the first one. Right. It's beautiful. That looks beautiful on 4K. That's a great transfer.
And I really want to, real quick, I just want to ask everybody who's still in chat, everybody who's in the panel, take and right click, the link to this video from Deleted Scenes. He is busting his butt. And I want to support him in any way that we can. If you can just go open it up, watch it later, do a like, drop a comment, because man, he is the hardest working blue wrench in the YouTubes, and he definitely deserves it. Just wanted to throw that out there. But
if you guys want to see any of my stuff, just I can mute and go grab some stuff for you guys if you want.
If there's something you want to show us, go ahead.
I mean, whatever. If you guys have any interest in anything, just let me know. I can see if I got it, and I can show you.
What I wanted to, there was a question I was going to ask, and then I got distracted by Deleted Scenes.
Steven.
No, he's good. He's worth losing your train of thought for. No, I was going to ask you something about. Was it about? Oh, I remember what it was. You were talking about Halloween earlier.
Yeah.
And Halloween has become, and Boomer will tell you. No. I actually said this myself. I'm a completist, right? So if I get a series, I got to get them all, right? So like with Dracula, I had to get had both versions of the worst Dracula because I'm a completist, right? Well, Halloween's the same way. I got to get all the versions of Halloween, even though I don't think I'm going to like the later ones, right? But Halloween has become like a choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
So what I end up doing,
kind of like that about the franchise.
Yeah, it is kind of cool. What I end up doing then is making multiple copies. I'm not going to go out and buy more copies of Halloween 1. I make copies. I have an original Halloween 1, and then I make a couple other copies to put into box sets with the other branching alternate, series, so to speak. Do you find yourself doing something like that, or are you as completist?
I'm a completist. For the most part, I will complete a franchise or a series, but on occasion, if there's something I really, really do not like, I will not buy it. Like, take for instance, I actually enjoy the first 6, 7 Halloween movies. I actually like them, even though I know some of them are really bad. In some cases, I like them because they're so bad. I just laugh and have fun watching them. But like the Rob Zombie Halloweens, I can't stand those movies. But I actually do own the first one because I saw a beautiful steelbook and I fell for it. So I bought it on steelbook on Blu-ray. But I hate the Rob Zombie movies, and I will probably never buy the Rob Zombie Halloween movies. And but yeah, like for the most part, I will complete a series. But if I don't like it, I just can't spend money on it.
What about Living Dead? Because that's a whole crazy. They have whole flow charts to follow the alternates.
Well, that's good thing you kind of brought that up because bring it up because with your little Fred Rogers there in the beginning, George A. Romero, who made Night of the Living Dead, worked on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Mr. Rogers gave him his first job in entertainment and helped him get Night of the Living Dead and all that made.
And the reason that we have so many different branching alternate stories from Night of the Living Dead was because he dropped the copyright briefly and it fell into public domain. Yeah. So you are able.
The funny story with that is on Night of the Living Dead. What happened was it was actually not supposed to be called Night of the Living Dead. It was going to be called like Night of the Anubis or something like that. And when the people that bought it, that distributed it, there's like, we can't release it under this name. So they changed the name to Night of the Living Dead. And so when they clipped the beginning, they actually clipped the film, the film of it, and they added in the new title. They didn't put the copyright on the new title.
So dumb.
And that's why Night of the Living Dead went into public domain right from the start. And I want to say to Shirley to God there, that's my brother.
But the criterion of Night of the Living Dead's very nice, and they're bringing out I think they're putting it 4K. It's coming out. Yeah.
But I mean, and then there was the that's what led to us having the Night of the Living Dead remake with Patricia Tallman.
Yes.
Oh, I love
Barbara.
Patricia Tallman.
Yeah.
There were things that were changed in that edition that bothered me. But the more I thought about Patricia Tallman's character, I was like, I like Barbara, getting over herself and becoming a badass.
Yeah.
I was good with that. Yeah. I did not like what they did to Tony Todd at the end.
Yeah.
Where I thought it was so much more poignant when he wasn't turned and he gets shot. It becomes this great racial type thing.
I think with the remake, I think there's an annoyance that Ben doesn't make it, but somebody else does, and then somebody else takes care of that. Okay, I think that was a thing in the remake. I mean, it's a different take. In fact, I often look at the remake as, on some level, these characters know they've experienced this before, and they're almost reacting like Ben's almost reacting like he knows Mr. Cooper, even though they've never met before. And I'm thinking, is this like an echo of the first movie, right? It's like, I don't know. It's like on that Star Trek episode where the day kept repeating over and over again. Remember, the Enterprise blows up.
That's
what the remake reminds me of. It's like another scenario where they're like
cause and effect. I think that was called. Yeah.
That's what that reminded me a little bit of. But anyway, that's just my take on it.
But the reason that remake happened was because Romero was like, I'm not making any money off this film. Maybe I can, just remake it and get something out of it, And I get that. That makes sense. But because that version of it falls into public domain, you got all these other people saying, well, that's fodder for fan films, and and they can do it. So that's the same thing. And actually, you could get cheap copies of that original version of Night of the Living Dead in dollar stores. So that's what I've done. I've gotten cheap copies and I just put them into separate box sets with, the different lines of films.
That's the Criterion. That's the good one. You can get that one on DVD as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But
in fact, that was one of my first DVDs. Was the Elite edition of Night of the Living Dead, and it came in the weirdest clamshell. You had to pull on the bottom, and like the plastic, the sleeve came out on the bottom, and you'd have to lift the disc out of this compartment that came out, and it was like acrylic plastic, and you pulled on the bottom to get the disc out. It's
That's
kind of a pain
interesting.
in the butt. It's before everybody figured out what the format for the DVD case was supposed to be. So,
yeah. And the other thing that I'd wanted to bring up, there you are, perfect timing.
I went and grabbed.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
This is the Blu-ray edition. They're bringing it out on 4K, so I went and grabbed it real quick. This is beautiful transfer right here. This is great Blu-ray. I love it. It's got all kinds of great stuff in it. And then, I'm a huge fan of John Carpenter, so I grabbed this real quick. This is the 4K of The Thing.
Yeah.
This is probably one of the best 4K transfers I have ever seen.
Wow.
This movie pops on 4K, and it's so good. It's like watching it in the theater again when you watch it again.
Is it so good that you could tell whether or not you could see his breath at the end?
Oh, yeah. I know you're getting at there. This is probably the best, one of the best 4K transfers I've ever seen. And then, as we talked earlier, my 4K of Halloween.
There you go.
I hate this cover art. This cover art. They have really bad cover art on this, but I reversed the.
I prefer just the classic cover, but the classic cover.
This is another reason why some of them I'll buy something and I'll just make a custom cover and just put it in the slipcase over whatever I got. I did a custom box set of the Planet of the Apes. Because when I got the box set, it's got the Statue of Liberty on the front. And I'm like, I know, how the movie ends, but you don't put a spoiler on your cover. I mean, so I
hate it when they do that. I hate it when it's a zombie movie. Here's one of the main characters in the movie, and we're going to show him as the zombie. Don't do that. Don't show me your main character.
Right.
One of the main turn to a zombie. This goes back to VHS days. I'm telling you, I don't want to say which movies and which characters, but don't do that.
Well, the best cover art for VHS or DVD or whatever your format was when they just took the movie poster and made that the cover.
Yeah.
VHS was big for that, and I love that.
I've done a couple videos on VHS cover art on my channel.
Yeah, I know.
I just did one because the Lost Boys and
we're Lost Boys. That's a good one.
What is it? What's the other one? Poltergeist. They're coming to 4K this Halloween.
Yeah.
Their cover art on those are atrocious. They're horrible.
Horrible.
They literally could have just slapped the movie posters of both of them on the front. But they used this horrible artwork, and so I did a whole thing about bringing back the art of the cover art.
That artwork.
Even the modern movie posters are not as good as they used to be. You used to have these very talented artists who would literally paint those posters or whatever. The famous Star Wars poster with Luke holding a lightsaber and Leia that's not Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher. No. That's a painting.
To George Lucas's credit, when he released the prequels, he made sure that they had the painted posters again for those releases.
Yeah.
I guess when Disney did theirs, they didn't bother. They just did the photo.
No, of course. Well, that tells you a lot, right? Yeah. I mean, but and there's nothing to say that you can't mix, a physically painted artwork and digital. So
Blade Runner 2049 had a decent poster, even though it was the photo kind. But I prefer the painted.
It's all digital artwork now. It's just
I don't like it.
Taking Photoshop and taking this picture here, and making it.
Well, what I was kind of implying though is to be able to separate the elements out so that you can have the single character, promotional, poster, or you can reduce the minority character for the China release.
Oh, no. I didn't even think about that was the reason.
Yeah, that's exactly why they do that crap, But yeah, that's... So, anyway, we're probably getting to the point where I should probably start wrapping this up. We're at the 2-hour mark, and boy, I super appreciate, Greg, you giving us as much time as you have. I know you're not usually a live streamer, but
just Wednesday nights. I usually, because I have a lot of family obligations, I don't get to stream as much as I want. But yeah,
I know exactly what you mean. But guys, I've been. And you know, it's funny too, because every time I mention something now about physical media, I always go, oh yeah, and subscribe to FanZcene. Definitely, you know, he's the go-to guy for this kind of information. I mean, you guys got a lot of great free advice about physical media tonight, so it might not be a bad idea for you to go over to his channel, subscribe, and maybe considering, you know, becoming a member for those member perks. He's going to have some. Well, you give your elevator pitch.
You'll get on my channel. I cover physical media, 80s, 90s, 60s, 70s, retro entertainment, basically. And with the membership, you'll get exclusive badges and emojis you can use during my live stream. You'll get exclusive members-only community posts, members-only exclusive videos, and I'm hoping down the line to do exclusive live streams just for members, as long as we get some members in. And yeah, we'll just have some fun. I got some things planned. I got some things percolating for you guys. So it's you know, we're waiting to see how it all plays out, and have some special stuff for you guys.
There you go. There you go. And so what do you got coming up this week?
Right now, I don't know. I usually play by ear.
That's fair. But usually you have a live stream on Wednesdays?
I do Wednesdays at 9:30 usually, the Physical Media Show with Tom from Midnight's Edge and our kicking boy that we like to pick on, Runner. He's a young kid. We got him into physical media.
Good.
We pick on him a lot. It's usually us three, and we bring pics of stuff that we bought. If we watch something through the week, we'll bring it on and we'll show it and we'll talk about it. Each one, we'll pick 3 to 4 picks a week, new releases, old releases, and we just have fun.
There you go.
Sounds great.
Great. So let's see what else we got coming up tomorrow night over on Netters Network.
Nope.
Big Al tomorrow night. Yeah, over on Big Al's channel tomorrow night, we will be watching the movie Rampage with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I will provide the Cosme link so that you can watch along with us if you don't have your own physical copy, but you should have your own physical copy. That's tomorrow night. Sunday night over on this guy's channel. What are we going to be doing on Sunday?
We're going to be talking about all the news. Unfortunately, some of it's bad news. We lost a very important movie.
I am heartbroken. Yeah.
Week. Yeah, but some other things too coming up in the entertainment geek
and
news thing.
Potentially some good news too. So we'll over on his channel. Make sure you subscribe. I think everybody that comes to this channel probably already does.
I got some good news.
Yes,
I have been featured on. I'm going to get his name out.
Ryan
Athy. I always want to.
I think everyone here has at this point. I know FanZcene. In fact, you haven't?
No.
Well, I'll have to go ahead and suggest you to him. So that's how he finds out about you.
Yeah.
And yeah.
He's still exploring.
Athy has me as one of his rising stars. So if you go to his channel, you can check out his vid on me.
Yeah.
I think I'm number 186.
Those of you in the MeWe group, I've got it. I just dropped a link to it there today, so you can check it out.
How awesome.
Absolutely. And so that's Sunday, Monday. Tuesday's Culture Fortress, isn't it, AG Boomer?
Yes. In fact, I have to get my suggestion to match.
I haven't figured out what I'm doing for it either.
I have a suggestion for you. I'll mention to you after the stream.
Okay. So over on Mr. Matchstick's channel, we will be doing Culture Fortress, where we talk about TV shows and movies and just all kinds of entertainment that we loved from our childhood that you may not have heard of, that we call it Culture Fortress because it's something we can refer back to in this age of horrific wokedness. Sometimes you just got to walk away and walk back into the past. And that kind of touches on the physical media too, doesn't it? Now that I think about it. Thursday. Then I guess that brings us around to next Friday. Friday, I will be featuring another guest. I want to make sure I get his new name right. Justice Fat Steven, formerly known as Fat Steven Seagal, who was supposed to have been on with me last month, except Canada broke and he wasn't able to stream because everybody in Canada lost internet. Oh gosh, damn third world countries. So now, hopefully, all things working technically, he will be with us next week, Friday. In the meantime, go ahead and subscribe to him. But yeah, we'll be interviewing him next week. And then that brings us around to Saturday again, where Netter will be streaming Bruce Almighty. Yes. Am I right? Yes. Is that what you would decide on? Right. Okay. And that's it. Greg, thank you so much for being here. Any last words for us?
Thank you for having me, and sub to Troy and Age Boomer and Netters, and have fun. It's awkward. With the
Here's a story. Yeah, exactly. Thanks, man.
On DVD.
Yeah.
Exactly. Boomer, what? Anything? Any last thoughts, words?
No, I think I have to see if I might be doing something Wednesday with Birdman, may not be, but just keep an eye on his channel. He does surprise streams sometimes. He did something on Thursday. He did a rewatch of King Solomon's Mine with Big Al.
I saw that, and because it was streaming on YouTube, they were able to just share the YouTube link. So that's
neat.
Cool.
Okay.
And Netter, any last words? I know what your last words are going to be. Give them to us.
Same thing I say every day.
Yeah. Try to take over the world. No.
Yes. We can always talk amongst ourselves, and that's all well and good. But it's almost always so much more fun when you guys are joining us, dropping comments and questions and what have you in the chat, because you're not just friends, you're family. We appreciate you being here, and we love you. Thanks for being here tonight, guys.
Exactly. And thank you, Evelyn.
And own physical media.
Own physical media. Yes. Exactly. And subscribe and become a member over on FanZcene. Thanks, everybody. Super appreciate you all. Evelyn says good show. So that means you've been with us all this time. Super appreciate that about all of y'all that hung out with us. Yeah, you were probably here for the guest, but I still appreciate you being here and hitting the like button. You guys really are awesome. Hey,
we're all special.
Well, I'm special, that's for sure.
Some are more special than others, though. I'm sorry.
I was going to say Netta's got to be the most special because she puts up with me. But anyway, guys, thank you so much. Take care. We'll catch you on the next one.
Good night, ladies.
Good night, sir.
Hit it, sweetheart.